Turkey's happening right now. May Day marches and protests are underway around the world. Riot police clashed with demonstrators in the Philippines, and police made hundreds of arrests in Turkey's capital city of Istanbul. Protesters are hitting the streets across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, spotlighting growing global concern over President Trump's policies and rising fears of economic instability.
The first priority should be the protection of our producers, of our local production base, local companies and businesses.
Tens of thousands of demonstrators are also expected at May Day rallies across the U.S. to advocate for the rights of workers and immigrants.
Shalom Yasharallah, peace be unto the nation of Israel, whom on modern day so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and speckled-bird Israelites, being Israelite foreigners scattered across the four corners of the earth, including within America, Babylon the Great, the main place for our captivity. All right, this wicked corporation, or of consumerism, and our capitalism and commerce, established off of egregious and grueling slave labor. All right, from the lost tribes of Israel in the cotton fields, sugar fields, and tobacco fields. All right, going into this iconic May Day protest going on right now. All right, I also want to go ahead and utter in the same tongue in the Lashon Kodash, the holy tongue, the Paleo Hebrew, Mashana Kabodium Lahasequanium Shal, Galawarakah, many double honors to the apostles and elder bishops, Great Millstone on down, and Shalom, honors and salutations to Bayashid Abadah, which means the house of David, referring to the 144,000 elected governing body, the house of David. All right, of the 1/3 elected remnant of the nation of Israel, along with the rest of the 1/3 elect men, women, and children of Israel, whose names also were preordained in the book of life for salvation from the Lord's plagues in these last days. All right, so fellow servant Malak Rayab, back at it again with another lesson through the spirit of prophecy, being a testimony of our Lord and Savior, Hamashiach Habashai, who the masses of the world ignorantly refer to Jesus Christ. What's going on right now, what's taking place right now is this nationwide May Day protest. It was an annual protest, all right, otherwise known as International Workers' Day, all right, established in the late 19th century, all right, to further pay homage to these hardworking laborers, being taken advantage of by, wicked, corrupt, tyrannical corporations on behalf of the wicked Zionist international banking families, okay, all right, which is linked with the birth or the birthplace of the so-called Illuminati, all right? Hence the term Lucifer, which just means light bearer, all right, referring to those whom the Heavenly Father Yahweh, the Bahashem Yahushai, mocked as Lucifer in that parable in Isaiah the 14th chapter, referring to those who claim to hold the light, the quote-unquote enlightened ones, all right, which light is symbolic of wisdom, knowledge, understanding, all right, predicated off of their God complex of Edomite supremacy, all right, they've been pushing through their wine of fornication, all right, hence their democracy, their diplomacy, the bureaucracy, the technology in modern day times, their decadence through fornication, such as the sodomy, the feminism, modern day Queen of Heaven, Semiramis worship, all right, bestiality, all right, adultery, all right. So this is the legacy of, the birthplace of the so-called Illuminati, all right. Whom the Heavenly Father mocked as Lucifer in Isaiah the 14th chapter, all right, which I'm gonna go ahead and get into in this lesson, all right, because today also marks the birthday of quote unquote Lucifer, or he who is referred to Lucifer, okay, in a facetious manner by the Lord Yahweh by Shem Shai in Isaiah the 14th chapter, all right, by Adam Weishaupt, all right, on May 1st, 1776, I believe, which I'm gonna go ahead and get into at some point in this lesson, tied into this these international labor union protests. All right. Further continuing with the oppression that people, deal with, especially in corporate, man. Okay. It reminds me of a post I came across on Instagram last night where there was a post somebody put up where it showed a meme of an actor crying, and the caption read, when you realize that you spend more time at work and you just visit your home. So this goes into the lamentations and the woes, all right, that these people are experiencing, all right, people in general, all right, they have to slave to keep a damn roof over their head, all right. This is this devil, okay, governing the world through oppression at the behest or expense of the masses. So this is on, start off on this USA Today article entitled, "Thousands Rally Against Trump, Musk and Nationwide May Day Protests." Live updates because Elon's Doge, acronym for Department of Government Efficiency, has been cutting a lot of federal jobs, and this is why within the past few months people have been protesting, not just on May Day, the annual day where people are anticipated to bring awareness to corporate greed and the ill treatment of these laborers, but they've been protests against this devil. All right. And this is why, as of recently, there's an article that came out. So on Deseret.com, it says it's entitled, "The Trump Administration Launched an Anti-Christian Bias Task Force. Here's what it will do." So now, people are, starting, more so refer to this current presidential administration in the U.S. as a quote unquote anti-Christ regime. All right, which is partially true for the fact that DJT, Nero Caesar reincarnated, is just taking orders from the likes of these devils. Okay, that funded the establishment that they answer to on behalf of these quote unquote luminaries that regulates everyone's lives, their livelihood, through the finances, through the central banks, the IMF, and so forth. The likes of these devils. All right. This organization I just highlighted. All right. Let me get into that momentarily. But going back to the initial article, bring out some information there. It says thousands of people marched near the White House as part of a nationwide protest against the Trump administration, its policies, and the billionaires supporting them in what organizers are calling a war on working people. Over 1,000 demonstrations and rallies are scheduled in every state and abroad, most being held May 1st, all right, which is May Day, the birthday of the Luciferians, if you will, including the so-called Jesuits, all right. It says historically known as May Day or International Workers' Day, the volunteer-led 50501 movement, which spurred other nationwide protests this year, is helping organize the demonstrations along with labor unions, student groups, and other grassroots organizations. Now, let's get straight to the point. Jump down a bit towards the bottom of this article. It says, what are the May Day 2025 rallies? The events dubbed May Day 2025 and May Day Strong are using the hashtag May Day Strong and are considered a national day of action that is backed by a coalition of over 250 local organizations. Groups will be marching on streets, rallying in communities, protesting on a local level at congressional offices, hanging banners, and staging walk-ins in front of schools. All right, jumping down, May Day's origins. May Day is a seasonal celebration of spring marked by parades and bright colors, and a day to honor workers, often marked by protests and rallies. With its roots in the pagan tradition, May Day celebrations stretch back to the Middle Ages. All right, during a time, when Jake was ruling. All right, we're in a time of Constantine, further influencing people to, to adhere to that pagan mindset. Okay, justified under the guise of the idea of the Lord, but through that 325 Nicene Council. All right, and then from then that legacy of pagan idolatry spread throughout in Western Asia. All right, in Europe. All right, or Europe and throughout Western Asia. All right, so it says, which is really all the worship of the constellation of the stars. All right, as it says here. With its roots in the pagan tradition, May Day celebrations stretch back to the Middle Ages, when festivities mark the midway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. All right, once again, going into the worship of the constellation of stars mentioned in Jeremiah the 10th chapter. All right, including sun god worship. All right, it says celebrations of spring on May Day are still held in many parts of the U.S. with maypole dances and the gifting of flower baskets. May first became associated with workers' rights in 1886 when hundreds of thousands of laborers in Chicago participated in a multi-day strike to push for an 8-hour workday. The strikes were marked by bloodshed as clashes between protesters and police grew violent. All right, further fulfillment of prophecy, 2 Ezra 15:16, had there be sedition amongst men against what manner of men? Wicked men, all right, who rules this earth. All right. All right, going to that sedition, these uprisings, all right, against tyranny, against corruption, as it says in 2 Ezra 6:27, corruption will be overpassed. So this is further ensign that Esau is losing his power because, pursuing of Job 20:27, the world is rising up against this devil. All right, they're doing it in vain, collectively going out there to protest, essentially begging the devil to stop being a devil, okay, which is counterproductive. Hence, it's still bringing awareness. And it's still because it's all a further fulfillment of prophecy. All right. So it goes on to say half a dozen people were put to death and dozens were injured, including in the May 4th, 1886 rally in Haymarket Square where a bomb exploded in a melee. Salakia. It says in 1889, labor activists declared May 1st International Workers' Day to commemorate the Haymarket affair and advocate for workers' rights. Today, many nations across South America, Africa, Europe, and Asia officially recognize a date as a holiday. See that? Going into paganism. All right. It says, which is madness. If you think about it, that when you think about, holidays, you think of, celebrations, mirth, people, justifying getting drunk off the ass in reference to Esau's, pagan Greco-Roman gods of wine and reveling and ecstasy and debauchery. I.e. Dionysus and Bacchus. Well, yeah, these people consider International Workers' Day or May Day as a holiday, okay, which is complete madness because this day is to commemorate the oppression of laborers. So how is that associated with mirth, in terms of, how holidays are, mainly perceived to, to be. All right. This just further confirms that there's people in a low vibration. All right. So it says in the U.S. efforts to move Labor Day from September to May have been unsuccessful. All right. So let's get this first precept, Psalm 73, and we start at verse 3. And it says, for I was envious at the foolish. It says, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. Just like Meyer Amschel Bauer said, give me control of a man's money and I care not who prescribes their laws. All right. So it says, for there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. All right. But then their source of their strength, deception, subliminal deception on the left hand side through their, enchantments or their satanic devices, such as their, their petrodollar, the strength of the petrodollar. All right. In part of, the Fed, using FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, to pass that Federal Reserve Act in 1913, essentially creating a debt weapon to have everyone in debt. All right. Hence why they have credit now, which is complete madness. All right. Hence why DJT has been recently talking about, students or, people having to pay back their student loans, and also talking about cutting off Social Security. All right. So this further confirms who the wicked hands of earth was given into in Job 9:24. He who is has made a sport out of foolishness and folly, all right, through his devices to mock the poor. OK, essentially becoming more wealthy in the process. So it says Psalm 73:4, for there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. All right, through their petrodollar. All right, their military industrial complex, their intelligence agencies. All right. And, their devices of deception through their politics, their media, which is a witchcraft term that derives back to medium, where they control the narrative of their satanic NWO agenda. All right. Their wicked education, which is indoctrination, predicated off of Edomite supremacy, such as Christopher Columbus supposedly discovering America. And this is why recently DJT was talking about bringing back Columbus Day, a.k.a. Indians Day, whatever they call it now, to further mock the indigenous tribes in the Northern Kingdom. You see that? So all these promises that he made, you know what I'm saying, and which he's been fulfilling for the most part in terms of reversing perverseness, such as the whole decadence of the DEI movement, you know what I'm saying, the left, associated with the left wing side of politics, and supporting degeneracy, same-sex bathrooms and whatnot. He's reversed that, but look what he's doing now. All right, like the elder Yashawama brought out, his recent lesson, how, regarding the direction that DJT, has led this so-called country is really a bloody corporation. All right, and this is why, despite what he's reversed, and targeting, DEI with the left wing, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay. Looking to kick them out, them moles, all right, out of the military and so forth, make their lives a living hell, and rightfully so, because they're wicked. But look what he's doing now. I mean, that appears to be moral, okay, right? But look what he's doing now. A collapsing economy, okay, waging war, into a geoeconomical war with the top trading partner, with heavy geoeconomical influence through the world's trade. All right, on behalf of China. All right, this is what I'm talking about. By next month, the shelves in these supermarkets, being seem to be more empty. Okay. All right, so we're within that time, man, and in the face of these blackouts that's been happening in Europe, it's all associated with the fourth industrial revolution. All right, is to orchestrate this collapse. All right, they're bringing this new totalitarian dystopian future of technocracy through the mark of the beast interface or infrastructure, which is AI, promoting that chip and eventually making it mandatory, which is that mark of the beast, that chip. All right. So part of this World War III algorithm. While these people out here protesting in vain, these people don't see the bigger picture. Why? Because it was never intended for them to see it, because they're blinded. But yet they're still fulfilling prophecy, going out there to protest, to further showcase who the devil is. So this is Psalm 73:5. It says, they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. All right. It says, verse 6, therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence covered them as a garment. All right. Violence, carnality. All right. It was a part of Esau's so-called lifestyle, death style, now actuality. All right. All right. Because, as Yahushua said, when Apostle Peter sliced off that wicked 2/3 ear, when, they came to, seize Yahushua, he said, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You can't tell Esau that, because he's a beast. He's a brute beast. Okay. So this is verse 6. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain, as violence covered them as a garment. All right. It says, their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. All right. They constantly print out these Federal Reserve notes on behalf of the Fed. So the wealth of these wicked international Zionist bankers is limitless. It's beyond the trillionaire status. That's bullshit. It's beyond the quantum, whatever the hell, quantity, economic quantity it is, or financial, value it is that would describe their wealth. Their wealth is limitless. Okay. So, Psalm 73:8, it says they are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. All right. They boast Like it says in Psalm 73 and 9, they boast against the heavens. I might as well get that since I'm in the same chapter. All right. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. And shalom to you. I'll come on the comment board and get your precepts in a second. All right. Bear with me, Baba Gashad. All right. This is Psalm chapter 10. I'm starting from the top. Why standest thou afar off, O Lord, Yahweh by Shem Yahushai? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? The wickedness pride doth persecute the poor. All right. Let them be taken the devices that they have imagined. And who's the poor? The saints. All right. Downtrodden beyond any other nationality on the earth due to the curses. All right. You know, this says in St. James 2, verses 5 to 6, how we're rich in the spirit, but, you know what I'm saying, we're poor. All right. You know, part of the lower class. All right. Because really, you know, that middle class status is really a smokescreen. Because really, you know, when all hell breaks loose through this economic collapse in America, Babylon the Great, everyone's going to be in the same playing field. All right. Except for the Zionist bankers. All right. It says Psalm 10 and 2, the wickedness pride will persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasted of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous, whom the Lord Yahweh by Shem Yahushai abhorreth. All right. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High God Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. The Most High God Yahweh by Shem Yahushai is not in all his thoughts. All right. You know, that's why it says here, 1 John 2 and 18. Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist, anti-Mashiach, okay, anti-anointed one, shall come, even thou are there many anti-Mashiachium, whereby we know that it is the last time, all right, because these anti-Mashiachium, all right, mainly on behalf of this Edomite hegemony is being exposed for being evil, for being completely wicked, full-fledged wicked, all right, because it's a wicked thing to defraud people. All right. And to, you know, through usury, you know, taxes and so forth. That's wickedness. All right. Within the Tharah, the Torah. It's for to confirm these people to be frauds, you know, ministers of Shaitan on the left hand side, and not upholders of peace and righteousness, or peace through righteousness. So this is back in Psalm 10, and I'm going to continue in verse 5. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. All right. You know, like DJT, you know, going viral in the midst of these soldiers with amputees and so forth, with their limbs blown off, and then DJT really mocking them to their face, attempting to be, you know what I'm saying, you know, empathetic to their cause or whatever. All right, he's really mocking them. So you can go over there and get your goddamn limbs blown off, and the Esau give you a purple ribbon rather. But then you can go shoot a fucking basketball at a hoop. You know, catch a pigskin in NFL and get paid millions of dollars for folly, you know, like Bill Cooper brought out. The reason why they brought that out, you know, in terms of what Bill Cooper brought out some years ago before they took him out for being a whistleblower, is that Esau needs bread in circus events to distract people. Because once again, that's a part of the source of their power. Deception, subliminal deception on the left-hand side. All right, but I digress. This is Psalm 10 and 6. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. You see, like it says here, Psalm 49 and 11. It says, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. See, this is the part of the Esau sentiment. Okay, maintaining his rulership. All right, you know, predicated off of Edomite supremacy. How he justifies, you know, governing the entire world through his wine. All right, these nations getting tired of him. All right, that's why China, within this basically within this Pakistan, India proxy war. Okay, influenced by the devil, Esau, Edom. Okay, China, you know, back in Pakistan, you know, has called for, you know, Pakistan and India to stop their conflict because, you know, Pakistan and India are two nuclear capable countries. Okay. You know, but Esau's involved in that, you know, siding with India as of now, you know, despite siding with Pakistan in times past. All right. It was a further divide and conquer tactic, man. Hence why he invaded that land and divided it in the first place. It was a part of his reputation. Okay. You know, dividing that land, formerly known as Hindustan, and dividing it into Pakistan, predominantly Muslim, and then India, which is predominantly Hindu. All right. So this is what this devil does, using divide and conquer tactics, just like he did in slavery, pitting the dark-skinned slave against the light-skinned slave. Okay. So it says in Sirach, the 12th chapter, verse 17, when there's adversity there, you can find him there first, roughly paraphrasing. Okay. Because he has the power of death. Okay. All right. He's wielding through his blessing, which is his sword. This is Psalm 49:11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling place to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Hence America after Amerigo Vespucci. Okay. Africa after Leo Scipio Africanus. And the list goes on and on. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And it says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, and think to change times and laws. Hence why recently, DJT, had called or suggested that daylight saving time should be an everlasting thing. You see, hence why in their annual modern day Roman Gregorian calendar, they host these or have these annual pagan festival days masqueraded as quote unquote holidays, including May Day, which people are keeping as a holiday, an excuse to dwell in their mirth, which is kind of productive for the fact that they're using this day, May Day, International Workers' Day, to bring awareness to oppression in the workforce. Okay, it's for just for to confirm who's ruling the earth. So it says, goes on to say here, it says from the top, and he shall speak great words against the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. All right, whom when the poor, that Psalm 10 and 2 is talking about. All right, in the ghettos, barrios, Indian reservations all across the world, not just America. All right, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time, and the times, and the dividing of time. All right, and time is being further divided or measured through prophecy. All right, it's how we know what time we're living in. And speaking of changing times and laws, all right, going into, how iconic, this day, May Day is, which is, further ironic that this is the same day that people are protesting, is also the so-called birthday of Lucifer. All right. It says it's on shunculture.com. We looked this information up on any other, prestigious or more reputable, websites such as National Geographic and so forth. ESO try to swindle you into paying for a subscription. There's another tactic of discouraging people from looking up this information. All right. This is shunculture.com, entitled The Bavarian Illuminati, the Secret Society's Enduring Legacy. It says the Bavarian Illuminati was a secret society founded on May 1st, 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, a professor of canon law at the University of Ingolstadt in Bavaria, Germany. The society promoted free thought, all right, enlightenment ideals, okay. All right, which that enlightenment is of that, the quote unquote, proclaimed and professed light, okay. Which is once again symbolic of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and their wisdom is foolish. That's why their wisdom is considered as foolish by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. It goes on to say, and democratic political theories aiming to oppose superstition, religious influence, okay, because really they want to, part of their satanic NWO is establishing that one world religion, which is Shaitan worship. Hence why they have after school Satan programs, I've been hearing about for the last 9 years. Okay. Having these transformers read to children for to indoctrinate their minds to accept, decadence and debauchery. Okay. It says, and abuses of state power. Despite its short existence, the Bavarian Illuminati has become one of the most well-known secret societies in history, with its influence still felt in modern conspiracy theories, quote unquote, in popular culture. All right. But this is not a theory, or rather a conspiracy. All right. It's in to conspire to do mischief. All right. The Illuminati's founder, Adam Weishaupt, born on February 6, 1748, was a German philosopher, law professor, and founder of the Illuminati. He was born and raised in Ingolstadt in the electorate of Bavaria, in that part of modern-day Germany, and was orphaned at a young age. All right, let's jump down. Weishaupt was influenced by the Enlightenment and sought to create an organization that can act as a counterweight to religion. Now, they mention here that it was short-lived. It's not short-lived. They still exist, hence why, another branch of their satanic NWO is the World Economic Forum. All right, and their fourth industrial revolution is an extension of these enlightened or Enlightenment ideals, okay, including climate control. All right, including introducing the framework of the fourth industrial revolution to digitalize industrialization and manufacturing. Okay, hence why, matter of fact, Slaki, I'm going to segue over to this quick article. It's on American Partisan entitled "The Next Phase of Surveillance: Getting Under Your Skin." All right, you can watch this video. All right, this individual brings out. They mention his name some point in this article. For the sake of time, I'm not going to really play it. This guy, Aaron, whatever his name is. Okay. But he just really just echoes what Yuval Noah Harari had mentioned, how humans are hackable animals, and how really they're looking to hack people with this chip. Okay, this mark of the beast. All right, we're going back to this article, finishing it off here. All right, it says Weishaupt believed that the religious ideas were no longer adequate to govern modern societies and wanted to find another form of quote unquote illumination. You see that? The true illumination, as in light, is of the scriptures. Get that real quick. Esau trying to re-revolutionize and refine what true light is. Proverbs 6:23 says, "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life." Okay, which is through Yahweh Shai, the epitome of light. Right, the word in fleshly form. Okay, as it said in St. John 16:33, "In me shall find peace, and the world shall have tribulation." This is why you devil's perception of light is foolishness, as in your wisdom, not your understanding, associated with pagan, occultism, and idolatry. All right, including Freemasonry. And this is why Weishaupt was a Freemason. Okay, so go back to this information. So it says, on May 1st, 1776, he founded the Illuminati, a secret society that aimed to oppose superstition, obscurantism, religious influence, and abuses of state power. All right. Said Illuminati spread quickly across Europe, attracting literary men such as Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Johann Gottfried Herder, as well as noblemen, politicians. See that? So nothing's new under the sun, because Congress and these other politicians have been bought out by these ish lobbyists, okay, known as AIPAC. Okay, so they're all juiced in, with the bankers and their wicked ass agenda. It says, including doctors, lawyers, and intellectuals. Members of the Illuminati use aliases and symbols such as the owl. Hence why over there in the Bohemian Grove in California they have that gigantic owl symbol or idol, which goes back to Molech worship. All right, Molech and Baal worship, of sun god worship. Okay, where what's his name? What's that guy's name, man? Was it Kennedy? One of them presidents was there. I think it was Kennedy. He said this was the faggotiest thing I've ever seen, where he witnessed a bunch of naked ass men, mainly Edomite men, roaming around, just like in the times of like they were in the times of the Western pagan Roman Empire, indulging in orgies and all kinds of madness, other madness, man. All right, so this is what this alpha represents: idolatry, debauchery, so forth. So it says to keep their activity secret. All right, it says they also had a system of ranks, including novice, Minerval, and illuminated Minerval, Salakia. So that's pretty much the synopsis of this information. Okay, he's going into why International Workers' Day, kept on May Day, May 1st, is very iconic. Okay, and ironic that it would fall on this day, which is the birthday of these people. Okay. All right. So All right, so with that, I'm going to, all right, I'm grab a few priests up the board into water for Yakim. And the skill for adding. Let me get a couple of these off the comment board. Let me see here. Brother Yawasap put up Proverbs 29:7. The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it. All right, it says in Proverbs. All right, get that real quick. It's at Proverbs 14:31. Yep. He that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker. All right, we really how by Shemashai. But he that honoreth him hath mercy on the poor. So this further confirms they're not a God-fearing nation or nationality of people. Hence why they are the so-called Antichrist mentioned in 1 John 2:18. The epitome of the quote unquote Antichrist, anti-anointed ones. Let's look at this word reproach real quick. All right, so the Hebrew word harap, all right, meaning to defy. See, Esau's complete defiance against the Lord's wishes, because he was created to be the devil, man. Okay, all right, in the Latin term diabolo, all right, meaning accuser, all right, and synonym for that is deceiver. Once again, introducing a source of his strength, which is subliminal deception, secrecy on the left hand side. Hence why the Illuminati's always been known as a secret society. It's not so secret anymore, man. Okay. All right. So it says Jeremiah 49:10. Esau will be made bare in his secret places, man, including his secret places, roughly paraphrasing. All right. I'm going to scroll down a bit. The brother Yatazamon put up Psalm 94:20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? Man, which frameth mischief by a law? So there you have it, man. Are they your friends because they claim to have fellowship with you, or they actually, you know what I'm saying? They appear to have be fellowship with you out there simultaneously protesting with you, okay? Calling for your liberation from corruption and tyranny. No, of course not, man. It's all a fucking facade, man. It's all for show. A lot of these, case in point, a lot of these societies out there protesting are part of George Soros' Open Societies Foundation, okay, including Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and so forth. A lot of them Edomites integrated within that organization, you see. So it's all to appear to be noble and, sensitive and empathetic and sympathetic, and so forth. It really is just all a smokescreen, man, because these devils are going to show their horns when the hell breaks loose. When there's one last piece of bread and one last cup of water, we'll see how far that civility, how far they show that civility, man. All right. Psalm 94:21, same brother, they gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. There you have it. Brother outside put up Job 21:7. Wherefore do the wicked live, become old, yea, are mighty in power? See, these are people that rule in the world, are mighty in their wealth and their influence through their wine. They're illuminated through their illuminated ideals. You see, established by Adam Weishaupt, the founder of these devils, the throne of iniquity that runs the world. All right, for the commemorated on May Day, which is today. That become old in power, like Jacob Rothschild, that the damn old decrepit leprous demon, David Rockefeller. All right, who kicked the bucket back in 2017 at age 101, despite all of them multiple heart transplants from Jake. Yahweh Shem Shah took that devil out because you devils have been deceived by your own vain opinion, your own vain suspicions, okay, and conspiracies of your own manner of wisdom, knowledge, understanding, which is failing you because you're dropping like flies, man. Including most recently Pope Francis, okay, Prince Philip, okay, sometime last year or not too far away from not too long ago. All right, David Rockefeller, as I mentioned, Jacob Rothschild. You see. All right, and there will be more names added onto that list. Somebody else just died recently. Well, Pope Francis. Pope Francis, And there will be more names added onto that list. So you are the old, that have become mighty in power. Further identifying who the devil is, the throne of iniquity, the rulers of the darkness of this world, the biblical dukes of Edom. All right. So this is Job 21:8. Their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear. Neither is a rod of the Most High Yahweh by Shem Shai upon them. Okay. They have everything. So what would they need the Lord for? You see that's why the Lord has the Israelites poor. So we can rely on him. Okay. Because the Lord deals with the meek. Hence why Yahushua was poor when he's on the scene, homeless. Okay. Riding on a donkey instead of a horse. Telling Zacchaeus, the publican, the tax collector, to let him stay at his tent, his place of dwelling. Because he was homeless. This to show us how vain his flesh is and how vain these worldly fleshy desires are in terms of aspiring to be rich and have all the fortune, you know what I'm saying? Have all the chariots and vehicles, all the money. It's all bullshit, man. Esau will never understand that because he wasn't created to understand that. All right. It says all right, we can jump down a bit. So Brother Tazwan put up Psalm 79:7. For they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his dwelling place. Oh, remember not against us former iniquities. Let thy tender mercy speedily prevent us, for we are brought very low. See, a lot of them protesters out there today are Jakes. Okay? Case in point. Verse 9. Help us, O power, Yahweh, by Shem Shai of our salvation, for the glory of thy name. The name was only given to the Israelites. And deliver us. That's why them devils that claim to be us can't even utter the name. They rather calling him Hashem, which just simply means the name. Okay? Showing how fucking dildo-headed and reprobate that they are. It says, Psalm 79:9. Help us, O power, Yahweh, by Shem Shai of our salvation, for the glory of thy name, and deliver us, and purge away our sins for thy name's sake. Right? Brother Yahweh put up Isaiah 9:8. The Lord, Yahweh by Shem Shai, sent a word into Jacob, and it had lighted upon Israel. It didn't light on you Edomites. See? That's why, pursuing the wisdom of Solomon 2:24, at the envy of the devil came death into the world through their illuminist ideals on behalf of Adam Weishaupt. Case in point. As if to say, this is our way. We don't need the Lord anymore. Like, what's the name said? That pencil neck sodomite Amalekite, Yuval Noah Harari. He said it more blasphemous, but I'm not gonna repeat word for word because it was too blasphemous. But that's what he said, that they don't need the idea of the Lord anymore. We're getting to that point, and they're going to be more bold about their agenda. Okay. Same brother, Psalm 119 and 105. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light into my path. Okay. That light, that true divine wisdom, knowledge, understanding, which is the Holy Spirit. Okay. All right. The mirroring essence of the righteous and holy and everlasting, omnipotent and omnipresent existence of Yahweh by Shem Yahshai. Okay. The Holy Spirit, that true light that cannot dwell in a malicious soul or a body that is subject to sin, pursuing the wisdom of Solomon 1 and 4. Hence why Esau has established his own manner of light. And it's just really exposing how much of a devil he is. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead, and this is why it's vain to go out there and protest against this devil. This is Psalm 10 and 7. It says, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Okay. Verse 8, he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, and the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. I was watching, so this devil is he's lurking like a lion of his prey, studying, conspiring how to destroy us. Okay. Through the Tuskegee experiment of the tribes of Judah and Zebulun specifically. Okay. All right. The whole, autism experiment with Jake. Okay. That whistleblowing scientist William Thompson further exposed some years ago. Okay. Linked with the dragon juice. I'm leaving it at that. For those who catch my drift. All right. All right. The so-called educational system, which is, as Hillary Clinton referred to it as, what she called it, re-education institutions and so forth. Okay. Which she was really referring to the FEMA camps, but there's also pertaining to these so-called school systems, man, which are fool systems to keep us asleep and distracted from Esau's doing to our people. Okay. So the devil is lurking, man. So when you understand that, you understand how vain it is to go out there and protest as another form of seeking his approval, his validation, you know. So this is Psalm 10:9. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. All right. Symbolic of what? Traps through his wine. Verse 10, he croucheth and humbleth himself that the poor may fall by strong ones. Okay. By his mighty forces of nature through his law enforcement, his military, his intelligence agencies. Okay. His politicians. So going to get this in the NIV. Psalm 10 in the NIV. His victims are crushed. They collapse. They fall under his strength. So let's see. And this is why in Lamentations 4:17, it says, as for us, our eyes has yet failed for our vain help. Why? Because they're constantly conspiring to crush us, man. So who in their right logical mind will go out there and beg he who's clearly not looking to help you and beg him to stop being evil when he was created to be evil, as it says in Jeremiah 13:23. Can a leopard change his spots? Okay, get that real quick. Okay, once the devil, always the devil. All right. Jeremiah 13:23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin or the leopard his spots? Then may he also do good. That are accustomed to do evil. He's accustomed. Esau, Edom, a subject-like white man, and man of sin and son of perdition, is accustomed to do full-fledged evil. Full-fledged, unadulterated evil. Okay? Period. It says in Sirach 12:10, never trust thine enemy, for as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. When you clean an iron weapon, the rust always comes back. Similar to Esau's wickedness. It's never going to go away, man. Okay? This is Lamentations 4:17. As for us, our eyes has yet failed for our vain help, and our watching we have watched for a nation that cannot save us. They hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. They hunt us, man, even in corporate. They set up these devils, these Edomites, in a prominent position through the managerial positions and hiring positions and whatnot, and which is integrated with what? Bias, predicated off of Edomite supremacist ideals, which is the perceived source of strength through the beauty and strength of Esau's sentiment. Okay. Case in point. So the darker you are, the more leery they're going to be of you because of the negative stigma they put on our people. So that is why colorism is significant. Okay. So you darker skinned, northern tribes, you indigenous, you're starting to get your nigga wake up call, man. Hence why you out there protesting, because you're starting to realize more so that Esau does not give a damn about you either. Hence, this May Day protest going on right now internationally is also a part of the history of so-called, immigrants, including, more so Hispanic immigrants, calling for the awareness of oppression against them and how they, have come over here seeking the same opportunities as these other immigrants from other countries. But this is the thing. Even with that idea of mine, or, the so-called indigenous in the Northern Kingdom, neglects the fact that this is their country, man. Okay, and was stolen from them, from the true founding fathers, the indigenous, i.e. Squanto, Sitting Bull, Geronimo, okay? What's his name? Chief Wasasugi, or whatever his name was, okay? Mighty men of valor, but it was in time. They didn't have the breath. Okay, they didn't know they were Israelites. Their forefathers did when they came over here, prophesied in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. Okay, verses 40 on down, around that area. Okay, coming over here to the new world before Esau defiled it to try to make a for error. In times past, being idolatrous and rebellious and wicked. in an attempt to keep the law, statutes, commandments. That's why the natives kept the land Sabbath. Okay? There was no goddamn slaughterhouses over here. Okay? There was no diseases. You devils brought that shit over here, man. So you were the real migrants. You were the real immigrants. Okay? Case in point. You see? So their vision of coming over here, you know, to the so-called New World is a part of their New World Order. That was mentioned in an article I brought out, associated with the founder of that organization, okay, by Adam Weishaupt, which included conquering the people in his land because they know who we are. And they know why we are a threat, okay, against their agenda. All right, because we are capable of a righteous resistance, because an educated Israelite is not a threat to Esau, but rather a spiritual Israelite that turns to their power, repents and turns back to their God, of, you know, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh. You see? So this is why these devils are going to continue to hunt our steps, okay, until Yahweh Shah comes back. Okay, the bridegroom of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, to redeem us from these curses, man. Okay, including redeeming us from the hands of our enemies we were prophesied to be given over to in the curses in Deuteronomy 28 chapter. All right, specifically verses 48 on down to 50. Okay, having to serve him, you know what I'm saying, and you know, and seek him in wants of all things. All right, for food, water, raiment, so forth. That's why these devils know throughout the course of time why people are so reliant on him. All right, Lamentations 4:19 says, "Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness." All right, the eagle represents vileness. Okay, the symbol of ancient Egypt and then the pagan Greco-Roman Empire, which is ironic because America is a splitting image of the pagan Greco-Roman Empire. All right, because the eagle is also the symbol of America. So this is Proverbs 29:2. It says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear the rule, the people mourn." And people are mourning internationally, all right, within this International Workers' Day protest against corruption, okay, mainly against the Edomites, all right, so, you know, which saw Jeremiah 15:33. It says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, by Shem Yashah of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were pressed together." See, I'm watching something right now. Okay. As a matter of fact, get it on the screen. I don't want to. Give me 1 second. You saw this stupid ass fucking ads. Ready to give me 1 second. Yeah, that's what I'm watching right now. Anti-DJT protests, Mayday. And I believe this is based out of LA. This particular one here. When you watch this, it's headed by an Eve. Okay. And what stood out to me is when she says "Sí se puede," which means yes we can. And then the Northern Kingdom Eve started repeating that after. That was very spiritual. See, in other words, Jake's acknowledgement of their mutual oppression on behalf of both kingdoms, the Southern and the Northern. Southern representing the so-called Negro tribes, Northern representing the indigenous tribes, has reunited them. And them acknowledging who their common mutual enemy is. And that's your part, man. Okay? This is what the devil fears. Jeremiah 15:33, "Thus said the Lord, Yahweh by Shem Yashah of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were pressed together. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Esau's refusing to let both of us go. Both kingdoms." Okay? This is why it's very spiritual what's happening right now. The reuniting of the two sticks, the two kingdoms. Isaiah 11:13. "The envy also of Ephraim shall depart." All right, Ephraim representing the so-called Puerto Ricans of the northern tribes, indigenous. "The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah should be cut off." Judah is the so-called Negro, okay, representing the southern tribes, so-called Negro tribes. "Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim." Okay, there's been a lot of that going on throughout the course of time by way of the curses, man. Okay, another, they say art imitates life. So just provide a quick example of that. The movie Juice, when Tupac's character played by Judite, was harassed by Radames, Ephraimite, a Puerto Rican. And Tupac's character ended up putting him to death. But it's going to come a time where we're going to reunite, man. This is what's happening right now with these protests and, you know, witnessing the reuniting of Jacob's further omen of that. So I'm going to end it off on that note. All right. Colin, the brother said they call it manifest destiny. You know, I was listening to this song earlier, and some Jake has said, yeah, they call it manifest destiny and blame God. He's being facetious, referring to Esau. Right. They have the divine edict, you know, so forth, man. They got a whole bunch of other Edomite ideals, you know, to justify their oppression against our people. But now the jig is up, and eventually devils will be destroyed. All right. Because these protests further, you know, confirms that how Shah's getting ready to come back. So I'm going to end it off on that note. You know, pray this lesson further edifying and glory to your life and give all praise and glory and honor to my power. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom is the God of the living, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, Rash. All right, double honors to the apostles and elder bishops, great millstone, and shalom, honors and salutations to Bayashid Abadah, the house of David. All right, of the 1/3 elect remnant of the nation of Israel, along with the rest of the 1/3 elect men and women of the children of Israel. And with that, Abba Ball, soon, very soon. All right, shalom to Akim, tuning in, the water for the precepts, Yahweh, Shem, Shabbat, the thumb. And on to the next one.